The Namibian motorsport community is looking forward to one of the highlights on its motorsport calendar. That is, of course, the Tara Rally. Hello and welcome to Lights Out. I'm Irene Marie van der Walt, and today we chat to Derek Jacobs, who, aside from being the Secretary General for the Namibian Motorsport Federation, is also one of the organisers for this iconic Namibian rally. Then we also take a look at a visit I recently paid to the University of Pretoria's Formula student team, where we chat with Divik Tulsi about his work on developing their car. Then we also have a quick look at the Monaco GP of last year and the changes we can expect for this year's Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. We'll be right back after this.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
When Derek Jacobs isn't busy being the Secretary General of the Namibian Motorsport Federation and a rally navigator and a clerk of the course and a safety official and a wat nog, he is also one of the organisers for the Tara Rally. Derek, welcome back to Lights Out. You've been here a couple of times. You're back again to talk about the Tara Rally this time. Tell me a little bit about the Tara Rally. It's a very iconic, part of the Namibian motorsport calendar, but where does it come from?
So the Tara Rally is the biggest rally in Namibia. It's over 3 days. So just to give our viewers a bit of background and insight as to why it's so iconic is, the story is very interesting. In 1970, Dennis de Wet and a couple of club members from the Windhoek Motor Club got together and they decided they're going to create the rally of all rallies. And this is also where the name comes from. So they sat with the maps trying to plot a route, and the rally was going to run for 24 hours through the night to the next day, no breaks. So they were busy looking at options, and Dennis's cat was a Siamese cat, hopped on the table, walked over the map. They looked at where the cat walked and they thought, wait, that's a good idea, let's go in that direction. And they named the rally Tara, which is the name of the cat. That's why the logo for the Tara Rally is a Siamese cat.
What?
Yes. So this happened in 1970. So this is the 56th edition. And there's a tradition with the Tara Rally. We'll get to why it's the other side, why it's so iconic. The cat, being synonymous with the rally, always bears its claws on the last day. And just to give you some idea, a few years ago, Alan Martin with his Skoda was leading. You could have blindfolded him. He was going to win that rally. And the very first stage, Saturday morning, he cut a corner. There was a hidden rock, took his wheel off, game over. So on Saturday morning, everybody knows they're looking for the cat to see where the cat is. They normally say when the fat lady sings, it's over, but we have a cat at the Tara that comes out. So, because it was one of the more challenging rallies, and if I can go a little back in history, many years ago when Total was still sponsoring rallies in the Southern African hemisphere, shall we say, or region, they sponsored rallies in various countries, and competitors used to go and compete in those rallies. So the Namibians used to come to Cape Town, to the wagon wheels. I was part of that many years ago. I can show you my birth certificate. I was. And then our guys used to come here. So there are some big names on the winners list of this rally, and some of them have won it 3 times. Like you have the great Sarel van der Merwe, Jeff Mortimer, they all used to come and play here, and they all won the rally. So the last South African to won this rally was Japie van Niekerk. He won it 4 times. And the tradition is, if you win it 3 times, you get to keep the trophy. Yeah, so he took the trophy home. So he's actually the first South African to take the trophy home from Namibia. So it's a rally somebody the South Africans always want to do. It was at some point a round of the Africa Rally Championship, and I was involved in also, because this is my 30th Tara out of the 56.
Put it there, Derek.
Thank you. And we used to have overseas drivers here. You know, we've had the Billy Rautenbachs from Zimbabwe. We've had from Satwan Singh from Tanzania. We've had Aldo Riva from Italy. They all used to come and do this rally because they heard of this rally. But there's also a thing that if you do this rally for the first time, you're guaranteed not to finish. So I can say that I finished it the first time as a competitor. That was in 1996.
That's why you've lasted for 30 rallies, Derek.
Yeah, so I've had a long history with the rally. In 1990, just after Namibia's independence, I was asked to bring a group of marshals to come and assist to raise the standard of the event at the time. And I've been involved with the rally ever since. I've been the, as you mentioned, the chef, the bottle washer, the waiter, the doorman.
The guy who hands over the trophy, the guy who polishes the trophy, the guy who makes the trophy.
Yeah, so currently I'm responsible for the route, and as a navigator, I write the pace notes for the rally. I've done so for the last, I can't keep count how many years. So yeah, so I work very closely with Clive Strydom, and there's a phenomenal team that puts this rally together. We call ourselves the A-Team. It's Clive, it's Carla, it's Johan, and there's Geraldine, and then of course myself, and we make the Tara happen.
So before we get to what it takes to make a rally of the size and magnitude and fame, I guess, of the Tara happen, tell me a little bit about those 30 years that you've been at the Tara. Does it change at all, or is it the same to host the Tara every year?
We try and change the rally. Since my involvement as an organizer, we try and throw in a bit of spice there, change things, make it more challenging. For 2 years it ran from Swakopmund back to Windhoek. So the rally is always challenging, and I said in my speech for the notebook, that's the little brochure that's always printed for this rally, that whilst the Tara looks easy on paper, it's not easy. You know, everybody that's competed and finished, even those that haven't finished, will tell you it's one of the most challenging rallies around, even compared to South Africa. I mean, I've rallied there extensively. This is just a different kind of event. I mean, some competitors from South Africa, and I'm talking in recent years, they've come here and they've never come back. There are some that want to come back, but I think once they make that commitment to come, they know they've, as they say, they've cut a stick for themselves to be beaten. So we try and, like, just to give you the idea of the layout of the rally this year, which is similar to last year, although we've turned some of the special stages around just to create a bit of a challenge. So we start on Thursday with a recce, very early in Rehoboth, from 7 o'clock in the morning. Then we work our way back to Windhoek. Then we do scrutineering at Tony Rist at the racetrack. Then we start with the 2 super specials, where the rally cars are pitted against each other, left and right. Then we restart Friday morning back in Rehoboth at 9 o'clock. But we get there at 7 because the cars must be re-scrutineered, because these days they allow them to take the cars home when there's an overnight break.
No.
In case they want to fix something.
Yeah.
And then we rally whole day in Rehoboth, and there's a 32-kilometer stage which we run twice. And that stage has everything in it, because last year one of the off-road vehicles had a close call with one of the trees. And the Sunday we went back to go and pick his pieces up, and we found part of his fender stuck in the tree. So how he didn't manage to end his rally against that tree, I don't know.
Maybe the cat was on his side this time.
I think so, yeah. Well, the cat was still waking up. And then we finish at about 4 o'clock on Friday in Rehoboth, and then we come back Saturday. We run a few stages in and around Windhoek. Now, I must also mention that whilst Total is synonymous with the Tara Rally, it was always called the Total Tara Rally. We have Shell on board this year because, you know, Total withdrew because of green energies and all those things. So Shell has come to the party, and we must thank Shell V-Power for sponsoring the 56th edition of the Tara Rally.
Yeah. Derek, you know I'm a Formula One girl, so
I wouldn't say that.
I know of why the Shell V-Power. So taking it back now to, you've just mentioned that, you know, the Tara looks easy on paper, but in practice it really isn't. What is that disconnect? Why does it look easy on paper, and why is it different in reality?
So some of the stages are short, but they're very technical. So when you look at the itinerary, which gives you an idea and a layout of the rally, you see, oh, this is a 8.24 kilometer stage. It's quick. But when you pull away, you will know the stage is not quick. You know, there's a lot of twists and turns and reverse forks and all those, and drifts and stuff. So it's focus. Especially on the 32 kilometer. I mean, you just need to stand at the end of the stage, which I've had the good fortune of doing, and you watch those drivers and navigators when they come out of there, they look like they've been through the ringer. Their focus is gone. They're sweating. And I mean, it's quite hot in a rally car, despite it being cool this time of the year. So it takes concentration all the time. You know, when you come out of there, and half the time they don't even get to see where they're driving because everything is like this. The navigator seldom looks up. The driver's got tunnel vision. He's only focusing on the piece of road here in front and the corner up ahead. So they don't get to see. And when I rallied in South Africa, there were some stunning places that we rallied in, and I never got to see the places. So I need to actually, I always said to myself, there's a few places I would like to go back and visit, because I just had a high-speed tour of the places.
Yeah. Okay, and then going into what it takes to put a rally like the Tara together, you know. We have a very strong rally culture in Namibia, which is kind of odd given the history of rally and where it started, far away from Namibia. But what does it take from you as a team, and what does, you say you have an A team there, what does that team mean to organizing the Tara?
Okay, so first of all, you need to put a route together. That's where everything starts. So Clive and myself will go out and we will go and look for roads, because you can't assume that the road you used last year is still there. For instance, with the rain we've had for the last 2 years in Windhoek, there's some serious damage on some of the roads. So we were struggling to get hold of a grader, and we managed to get one. And over the last 2 days, they graded some of the roads because, and I'm not joking when I say along the Elisenheim stage, there were washerways that was this deep, almost the depth of a car. You know, so we had to fix the road up to make sure that we could use it. And of course, we needed to bring the rally to Windhoek on the last day for the spectators and of course for the sponsors. So we start with the route, and then we need to speak to the landowners and the municipalities. Earlier this week, we went to meet with the mayor of Rehoboth. Also asked him to come and just flag the cars off, but just to interact with them, because a lot of the areas we run in belongs to the municipality. You know, so we need to have a relationship with them and with the landowners. Now, you must remember, all these things started way back already. When everybody was coming back from Christmas holidays, New Year, getting the kids to school, we were already sitting, putting this rally together. So once we have the route, then we put everything else in place. We do the pace notes, we do the itinerary, the instructions for the open sections, and then of course on the other side you have, as I mentioned, Carla and Johan. Carla does our, she organizes the trophies and the venue for the prize giving. Johan is a scrutineer. He looks after the cars to make sure they're safe. Then we've got Geraldine that does the scoring for us. You know, she's on top of the scoring. So as the cars are finishing the stages, she's tallying it. So when we get to the end of the rally, we know who the winners are, etc., etc. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I mean, we're all burning the midnight oil at the moment.
Yeah. So lastly, before I let you go, what do you think makes this rally culture in Namibia? Why rally and not a different form of motorsport to cling to so fervently? I want to say Namibians love rally.
So I'm smiling because I'm going to burst your bubble. And I'm not saying this as a rallyist, and I'm not being biased. But you can go ask anybody, and if you don't believe me, go and ask Nico Rosberg and a couple of other people. Rally is the king of motorsport, not Formula One.
We can debate about that, but we don't have time.
You don't have to debate, the facts are there. I mean, they took Nico Rosberg for a ride in his own E-Extreme vehicle, you know, those off-road jobbies. And they took someone else in Carlos Sainz's Raptor at the race on the Dakar, and they said, no ways. They cannot comprehend. And this is why rallying has this following and this culture. And you go to all the African countries. If they don't have a circuit, they rally. You know, they might not race go-karts, they rally. And South Africa, and I think the culture of rallying in Namibia was a spillover from South Africa, because rallying in South Africa has always been strong and it's always been big. And I think at the time when the motorsport control of Namibia was under South Africa, it came here, and it's still here today. I mean, this is the 56th edition of the Tara, so I would say no more.
But one thing I can say that me at Formula One and you at Rally have in common is Carlos Sainz, or a Carlos Sainz. So we are together, we have some things in common, even if it's not a circuit and how we race. But thank you so much for joining us.
It's always a pleasure.
Tara Rally next week, Thursday, you guys
Thursday
kick
to
off.
Saturday, yes.
So hopefully you will stop burning the midnight oil at some point and actually
On Sunday
get some
after the rally.
decent sleep before the Tara, before you have to burn the midnight oil again.
That's not going to happen. We'll rest on Sunday.
So we'll give you a rest here from Lights Out for the week after the Tara. Hope you rest well. Hope you enjoy the Tara. All the best. Hopefully that
Thank
cat
you.
doesn't get too many people.
No,
on the last
we hope
stage.
not.
That
Thank
was
you.
Derek Jacobs, one of the organizers for the Tara Rally. The University of Pretoria's engineering graduates are hard at work on completing their final year assignment, which I think is a lot more fun than a lot of other university assignments. Their assignment is to create a Formula student car. We stopped by their engineering basement recently and had a chat with the team, including Mr. Divik Tulsi, who is hard at work on their car. Divik Tulsi joining me now. He is the head of not only aerodynamics but marketing for the University of Pretoria's Formula student team. Divik, how are you?
Hi, I'm all good, in yourself.
I'm fantastic. I'm even better now that I get to talk about Formula One and talk about motor racing with some people. So tell me a little bit about aerodynamics. Where do you start when you're thinking aerodynamics for a car like this?
So for me, the way I start is with what has everyone else done? Because that's the way we've treated design, is what is existing out there. So I looked at Formula One to start, because that's where the inspiration comes from. I looked, what is good, what is bad?
At Adrian Newey's work?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I read his book.
Yeah.
I specifically read his book when I was doing my vacation this year.
Yeah.
So I looked at all of the Formula One designs. I was like, cool, especially because Formula Student isn't as high level as Formula One. I looked at a lot of the older cars from like the 80s, 90s, in those regions there, when aerodynamics was still cracking in. And then from there, I looked at Formula Student vehicles. So I looked at all the teams. So I'm focusing on the rear wing, and I drew out every single rear wing that I could find, so that I could say, okay, cool, this is good, this is bad, this is good, I can do this, I can't do this. From also because we are in South Africa, we do not have the budgets of 5 million Rand to build a Formula Student car. So I was like, where can we as a South African make a plan? So that was the design philosophy I chose there, of take everything I know and see what I can create from that.
So aerodynamics isn't something you can just consider singularly. I think the same is true for single-seater open-wheel
Yes.
cars in general, but specifically on aerodynamics, you can't have a really good rear wing and a really good front
100%.
wing and then have that work. How do you ensure that harmony throughout the entire car?
So to start, I set up the team because there's 5 of us working on the aerodynamics, each of us working on individual components. The way I've done it is I designed a design freeze gate system where we'll lock in our design philosophy. Then we'll lock in our parameters. How much lift are we trying to generate? How much downforce, how much drag are we trying to create? And we start locking in those values and then start incorporating that into each other. So the front wing, his priority, he will most likely generate 70% of the downforce I do, but his focus will be on carrying the flow across the entire car. And so once we've all created our components as close as possible to this synergistic beauty, we're going to put it into a big model, run it on one of our computers, and optimize it through there to ensure we have that synergistic package.
So tell me a little bit about working with the team. You've now said, you've kind of defined your parameters
Yes.
with everybody, but we've spoken a lot with Dr. Van Vieren and with your team lead about soft skills. What soft skills do you think you've developed over the course of this time?
Definitely communication skills. I thought I was really good at communicating. It appears that you even have to be even better for this type of situation where you may be doing something and knowing you're doing it, but someone else doesn't know you're doing that. So it's about mostly effective communication, ensuring that everyone knows what is going on, what you're doing. Are they involved in what you're doing? If they are, you need to ensure that if you make an update to your design, that they are aware of that, and vice versa. So because with a project like this, everyone affects everyone in some minor form. I'm directly affected by the airbox. I'm directly affecting the chassis. And so if we're not communicating, everything hits the fan. Yeah.
And then you've spoken earlier about, setting out the parameters and then defining your design philosophy. Has that been defined, or are you defining it as you go along?
So we've set like a baseline of definition, but every week there's always something that changes the philosophy. Whether it be the brakes can't handle the amount of downforce that we were initially set on. So now we're reversing the philosophy of how much can they handle, we will design backwards. And so that's the current direction we're working towards. But at the end of the day, that's a project. You're going to hit walls. You just need to know how to get over it without losing your mind.
So what do you think is going to set your aerodynamics apart come that Formula student?
I think, so I did a lot of research through Reddit. And I looked at all the forums.
Research.
Yeah. I looked at all the forums and everyone said, don't do aerodynamics in your first year of building a Formula student car. So we have chosen to do aerodynamics in our first year of building a car. And I think that is one of the things that will set us apart. The fact that we will have a running car and we will have a working aero package at the end of this year, in our first year as a grassroots team.
So now sitting on aero, if a Formula One team were to come to you with a job in aerodynamics, would you take it? Is there something else you'd rather take?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really. I'm very, with mechanical engineering, I've always wondered, okay, there's so many directions, it's so vast. You can go into investment banking, you can go into design, you can go into testing, all these different facets. Aerodynamics is the one thing that I was like, yes, 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 yes.
And tell us about that moment when you discovered that this is the thing.
I just think I was watching a bird and I was like, that's really cool. And I've always loved cars since I was young. And I was always like, I want to design a car, I want to design a car. And I went into mechanical engineering because of that, love for design work. And what I realized was a lot of mechanical engineering is structural design, it's this design, optimization design, but never taking into account art. Aerodynamics is, I think, that sweet spot where you have engineering, arts, and performance all mixed into one beautiful commodity that you can take and design the most performative and aerodynamic and just spectacular machines and designs.
Okay, so the next Adrian Newey, I am now assuming, is hiding out at University of Pretoria.
I think so.
I think I'm looking at him right now. Thank you so much for chatting to us. I hope I see you in the aero department of the Formula One.
I do as well. Thank you so much.
Formula One has scrapped a mandatory two-stop in the Monaco Grand Prix, which was an experimental rule for last year's Grand Prix. So let's have a look at what happened last year. Lando Norris won the race with Charles Leclerc, the homeboy, coming in second, Oscar Piastri locking out the final podium place. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton trailing close behind them last year. Lando Norris led the race from start to finish, and this was his second win of the 2025 season. We all know how that one ended. It ended in the first ever championship for Lando Norris. They had the double stop requirement as a rule in last year's Monaco Grand Prix, but this was scrapped for this year. There was no safety car or virtual safety car in the entire Monaco Grand Prix last year, but Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly did end up needing to retire. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Lights Out. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember that you can catch Lights Out every Friday evening at 5:30 on network television, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia, as well as oneup2.com. So until we see you next week, drive it like you stole it.